Before we talk about manifestation, let's talk about the quiet exhaustion, the kind that hides beneath your smile when you've tried every script, every affirmation, every vision board, and still fall asleep with that soft ache that asks, why hasn't it come yet? If part of you is tired of chasing and another part is afraid to stop, you are not broken. You are simply mistuned. Tonight, we won't pile more noise on top of longing. We will tune your inner instrument, so that what you ask for can actually hear you, recognize you, and find you without requiring you to sprint after it or bargain with your worth. Think of your body as the transmitter and your heart as the amplifier. In Joe Dispenza's language, coherence between mind and heart turns scattered intention into a stable signal, like a radio moving from static to a clean station. When thoughts beg for a future while your nervous system rehearses the past, the message leaves garbled and returns as delay. The protocol you're about to learn does not demand perfect positivity or theatrical faith. It teaches a state you can sustain, a calm, lucid power that your biology can hold and your life can mirror. Instead of aiming for dramatic peaks that quickly collapse, we will cultivate a steady tone that carries farther than any burst of motivation. Across the chapters ahead, you will quiet the survival chemistry that scrambles your frequency, replace inherited limits with lived evidence, rebuild attention so desire stops leaking through interruption, and learn to read the subtle timing of life without forcing outcomes. Bring a notebook, breathe a little deeper than usual, and allow yourself to be surprised by your own capacity. The universe is not withholding. It is listening for a clearer channel, yours. Tonight, let's open it with dignity, precision, and a tenderness that endures. Every journey toward manifestation begins with a paradox that is rarely spoken about. The deeper you desire a change, the more your body fights to remain exactly where it is. This silent war between intention and physiology creates a kind of invisible cage that feels unbreakable. You can hold the clearest picture in your mind of the life you want. Repeat affirmations until your throat grows tired, and yet your nervous system, shaped by years of survival and habit, insists on replaying the old story. This is not because you are weak or unworthy, but because the body has become addicted to the chemistry of the past. Like a needle stuck on the same groove of a record, it keeps looping anxiety, doubt, and scarcity, even while your conscious mind begs for expansion. Consider the body as a living archive of memories. Every rush of stress, every pang of disappointment, every sleepless night has etched its code into your muscles, breath, and heartbeat. The result is a baseline frequency that vibrates at the tempo of old wounds rather than new possibilities. People often think manifestation fails because the technique is wrong, but the truth is more unsettling. It fails because the messenger is incoherent. When your mind broadcasts hope, but your body radiates fear, the signal cancels itself out. The universe does not hear mixed messages. It mirrors back exactly what is stable, and stability is usually found in the emotions most rehearsed. The concept of coherence between mind and heart provides the missing bridge. When your brain's electrical signals harmonize with the rhythmic pulse of your heart, a powerful electromagnetic field emerges that can extend several feet beyond your body. Scientists who study heart rate variability describe this state as one of balance, where stress chemistry recedes and creativity, intuition, and resilience expand. In practical terms, it means your desires are no longer floating as fragile thoughts, but anchored as living states of being. You are no longer asking from lack. You are radiating from alignment. Imagine a lake on a windy day. Throwing a stone into its choppy waters creates chaotic ripples that collide and vanish almost instantly. Now picture that same lake at dawn, still and glass-like. A single stone dropped into its surface sends waves that travel gracefully, unbroken, across great distances. This is the difference between incoherent and coherent emotional states. In one, your intentions are drowned in noise. In the other, they carry far, intact, and unmistakable. The lake is not forcing its calmness, it is simply settled, and in that stillness, it amplifies every signal. One of the greatest misconceptions about raising your vibration is that it demands constant euphoria. People imagine they must live in perpetual excitement, smiling through every storm, projecting a performance of positivity. Yet this artificial state is fragile, exhausting, and unsustainable. True coherence does not require fireworks. It requires stability. A calm, steady rhythm of peace resonates far more powerfully than an inconsistent burst of enthusiasm. Just as an orchestra depends not on one instrument playing loudly, but on all instruments tuning together, coherence arises from balance, not volume. The practical path toward this state begins with learning to listen inwardly. Interoception, the skill of noticing sensations within your own body, allows you to catch the subtle signs of incoherence before they escalate. A tightening in the jaw, a shallow breath, a restless tapping foot. Each is a messenger, a whisper from the body that the old script is trying to reclaim its stage. By honoring these signals, rather than suppressing them, you gain the power to reset. Simple practices like rhythmic breathing at a pace of 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out, focusing on the area of the chest, can restore coherence within minutes. This is not an escape, it is preparation. Without this foundation, any visualization is just a fragile wish written in sand. Coherence also transforms how you measure progress. Instead of obsessing over whether the external desire has arrived, you begin to measure stability, how consistently you can sustain a state of calm focus, how gracefully you can return to alignment after being knocked off course. Progress reveals itself in quality of sleep, in patience during unexpected delays, in the ability to say no to draining obligations without guilt. These are not small victories. They are signs that your entire frequency is shifting, creating a field strong enough to attract outcomes naturally rather than through force. A ritual of coherence need not be complicated. 11 minutes twice a day, practiced with sincerity, is enough to begin rewiring the nervous system. Begin with releasing tension in the face, shoulders, and eyes. Bring attention to sensations of weight, temperature, or pulse. Breathe rhythmically. Invite the memory of a calm gratitude, then visualize not the final goal, but the very next step you could live tomorrow. Seal this state with a simple gesture, such as touching the sternum, so your body learns to return to it throughout the day. This is the architecture of a stable signal, a protocol that allows your inner world to stop fighting itself and begin resonating as one. The hidden gift of coherence is permission. When you stop demanding that manifestation look spectacular, you open space for it to unfold with quiet precision. The lake does not shout, it reflects. The radio does not scream, it tunes. Your role is not to strain for intensity, but to maintain clarity. When mind and body agree, the universe does not hesitate. It responds with uncanny symmetry, delivering people, ideas, and opportunities that match your signal with mathematical exactness. And in that moment, you realize manifestation was never about forcing reality into shape. It was about becoming clear enough for reality to recognize you. There comes a moment in every seeker's life when the realization dawns that willpower alone cannot dismantle the invisible walls of limitation. You may hold a vision of abundance, repeat statements of worthiness, or surround yourself with reminders of success, and yet when opportunity arrives, some subtle reflex inside pulls you back. This retreat does not announce itself with words. It speaks through hesitation, through the quick lowering of your eyes, through the smallness of your voice when you mention your dreams. These micro-reactions betray the deeper script that has been rehearsed for years, the belief that you are safer staying small, quieter, or invisible. Without rewriting this inner script, manifestation becomes an endless rehearsal for a role that never reaches the stage. To understand why, you must look at how beliefs are embodied rather than merely declared. A belief is not only a thought you repeat, it is a story your nervous system has memorized through emotion. Each time you lived through rejection, failure, or scarcity, your body recorded it as a lesson to protect you. Over time, those lessons became reflexes. They rise when you send a proposal and suddenly feel the urge to underprice yourself, when you hesitate to share your gifts because an old echo whispers that you are not enough. These are not flaws of character. They are evidence of the body's loyalty to the past. It is trying to keep you safe by repeating what it knows, even if what it knows is suffocating you. Real transformation begins not with declarations in the mirror, but with experiences that contradict the old script. The nervous system learns through evidence, and evidence is provided by new actions, however small, repeated until the body accepts them as familiar. This principle is reflected in the science of epigenetics, which shows that behavior and environment can influence how genes are expressed. Your body is constantly scanning your surroundings and routines to decide which networks to strengthen. If every day you reinforce fear and doubt, those pathways grow denser. If you introduce new contexts and actions that affirm courage, creativity, and value, the body begins to rewire. It is less about forcing belief and more about staging new experiences until belief has no choice but to follow. Imagine yourself as an actor who has played the same role for decades. The lines are second nature, the gestures automatic, the cues predictable. Now, imagine you are given a new script, but you continue standing on the same stage, surrounded by the same props and actors. Your body, loyal to habit, defaults to the old lines. Only when you change the scenery, the costume, and the supporting cast does the body finally surrender and embrace the new role. Belief changes when the stage changes. For this reason, altering your environment, even in subtle ways, becomes one of the most powerful tools for rewriting inner scripts. A rearranged workspace, a new morning routine, or simply surrounding yourself with people who affirm growth rather than diminish it, provides fresh cues for your body to rehearse a different story. One method that has proven transformative is the practice of evidence first. Instead of waiting to feel completely ready or convinced, you begin by taking one action that would only make sense if the new belief were already true. If the old script says your voice is not valuable, send a message sharing your perspective. If the old script says you must accept less, set one boundary with dignity intact. These actions are not grand gestures. They are seeds planted in new soil. Each time you act against the old reflex, you provide evidence to your body that a new story is unfolding. Over days and weeks, those seeds take root, and the reflexes that once pulled you back lose their grip. The process is uncomfortable at first because the nervous system interprets unfamiliarity as danger, yet discomfort is not a signal of failure. It is proof that the script is being challenged. The key is not to overwhelm yourself with massive leaps, but to commit to small, consistent actions that gradually shift your baseline. Over time, the discomfort fades, and the new behaviors feel natural, even inevitable. This is how the body learns, not through declarations of what might be, but through repeated exposure to what is. As you continue this practice, you begin to notice subtle shifts. Conversations that once triggered self-doubt now pass without a storm in your chest. Situations that once made you shrink now meet with steadiness. These are not coincidences, they are markers that your field has changed. When you embody new beliefs, your energy projects differently, and the universe, ever responsive, organizes itself around your new signal. People treat you in alignment with how you carry yourself. Opportunities that once seemed inaccessible begin to recognize you, not because the world suddenly became kinder, but because you stepped onto a stage where your new role could be played. The rewriting of inner scripts is not about rejecting the past, but about acknowledging that it has served its purpose. The fears that once protected you are no longer needed. Gratitude for their service allows you to release them without resistance. From there, you step into authorship, not by forcing faith, but by offering your body experiences it can no longer deny. This is the alchemy of belief, when repeated evidence reshapes emotion, and emotion reshapes the frequency you radiate. The universe responds not to what you wish for, but to what you embody as familiar truth. By choosing small actions that reflect your desired reality, you send a message to every cell, every thought, every beat of your heart. The old play has ended, and a new one has begun. The modern world trains the mind to scatter. Each notification, each flicker of a screen, each headline engineered for urgency, teaches the brain to crave novelty rather than depth. This constant fragmentation is not harmless. It reshapes the nervous system itself. Dopamine, the chemical once meant to guide us toward meaningful rewards, is now hijacked to celebrate microbursts of distraction. Over time, the mind becomes impatient with anything that requires steadiness. You may sit to visualize your future, but within minutes an impulse demands to check something else, and the fragile seed of intention is uprooted before it can take root. Manifestation requires continuity of signal, yet most people's attention flickers like a candle in the wind. To appreciate the importance of attention, picture it as a lens of light. When it is scattered, it illuminates nothing with enough clarity to be useful. When it is focused, even gently, it can cut through the thickest of illusions. The nervous system is designed to follow the trail of what you deem important. If you repeatedly feed it trivial noise, it begins to allocate less energy to the pursuit of depth. In this way, the environment you accept daily is quietly deciding the quality of your manifestation. You may believe your intention is powerful, but if your attention is fragmented, your signal dissolves before it can leave your field. Understanding dopamine's true nature clarifies this struggle. Contrary to common belief, dopamine is not the substance of pleasure, but the messenger of significance. It tells the brain, "This matters, stay with it, pursue it." But when the brain is flooded by shallow rewards, likes, messages, fragments of novelty, it is taught that significance lies in the ephemeral. The cost is profound. Long-term goals, the very essence of manifestation, feel dull compared to the microbursts of stimulation. The error is not a lack of willpower, it is a miscalibration of chemistry. The body has been trained to abandon depth. To reclaim attention, you must design an environment where novelty is rationed and depth becomes pleasurable again. This reclamation does not mean renouncing all stimulation. It means sculpting your rhythm so the nervous system rediscovers satisfaction in continuity. One method is to carve sacred windows of uninterrupted focus, protected from intrusion. In these windows, you dedicate yourself to the single thread of your chosen intention, whether that is writing, building, or simply sitting in coherent visualization. 90 minutes of such focus, followed by a pause of 30 minutes for restoration, teaches the brain that depth can be rewarding. The act of holding your mind steady is itself a declaration to the universe. This matters, and I am willing to remain with it. Over days, dopamine recalibrates, and the mind regains the stamina to inhabit vision without escape. Consider how this rhythm mirrors natural cycles. The ocean does not crash endlessly without pause, it surges and retreats. The lungs do not only inhale, they exhale and rest. Likewise, focus requires alternation between intensity and recovery. Protecting these cycles allows intention to mature into a stable signature. Without them, you are like a farmer scattering seeds on rocky ground, surprised when nothing grows. With them, you become a cultivator, patiently tilling the soil, watering at the right intervals, trusting that growth unfolds with consistency rather than frenzy. The metaphor of the spotlight serves well here. In a crowded theater, dozens of voices compete, but when the spotlight shines on a single actor, all else fades. Attention functions the same way. It tells the nervous system, this is where life happens. This is where meaning resides. If your spotlight shifts every few moments, the actors of your future never get a chance to deliver their lines. But if you hold the beam steady, the performance unfolds, and the universe responds with synchronicities that appear almost magical, though they are simply the natural outcome of stable presence. Signs that attention has been reclaimed are subtle but unmistakable. You find yourself less eager to check messages upon waking. You notice an ability to remain with discomfort without instantly seeking escape. Creative ideas that once slipped away now complete their arc because you stayed with them long enough. These are not coincidences. They are indicators that your inner chemistry has shifted, and with it, the clarity of your signal to the universe. As your field stabilizes, life begins to mirror your consistency. Opportunities appear not in chaotic bursts, but in steady alignments, reflecting the steadiness you now embody. This chapter reminds us that manifestation is not a sprint of thought, but a discipline of presence. To create is to remain. To attract is to hold. The nervous system learns by rhythm, and when you teach it to love depth again, your desires stop being fragile daydreams and become stable realities in motion. The universe does not require brilliance in flashes. It requires coherence in waves. When attention is reclaimed and intention stabilized, you step into the role of creator not through effort, but through constancy. The most difficult lesson for the modern seeker is patience, not because the universe is unresponsive, but because the human nervous system has been conditioned to equate speed with value. We live in a culture where immediacy is worshipped, where waiting is seen as weakness, and where the silence between cause and effect feels unbearable. In manifestation, this impatience becomes poison. Each day without a result is interpreted as failure, and each perceived failure reinforces doubt. The irony is sharp. The very urgency that pushes us to want faster is the same energy that blocks the unfolding. What appears as delay is often gestation, the hidden alignment of countless factors beyond the range of sight. Just as a seed buried in the soil cannot be rushed without destroying its cycle, so too the desires of the heart require incubation in the unseen. The concept of synchronicity offers a bridge between the invisible and the tangible. Coined not as superstition, but as a recognition of meaningful convergence, synchronicity is the phenomenon where inner state and outer context meet in harmony. A chance encounter, a repeated symbol, a timely message, all these are not accidents, but reflections of resonance. When your field stabilizes, life begins to respond with coherence, arranging signs that confirm you are in rhythm with its current. Yet the danger lies in over-interpretation, in seeing meaning in every shadow. True synchronicity feels clean, calm, and unmistakable, not desperate or forced. It does not demand you to chase, but invites you to respond with dignity. Reading the universe is less about decoding riddles and more about listening to the music of timing. To cooperate with this rhythm requires a redefinition of surrender. Many interpret surrender as resignation, a passive waiting for fate. In truth, surrender is an active posture. It is the art of acting fully within the sphere you can influence and releasing what lies beyond it. It is tending to your soil, watering your plant, and allowing the sun to do its work without grasping at the stem. Surrender means designing the habits, rituals, and focus that are yours to govern, while acknowledging that outcome is a dance with forces greater than your personal will. This does not diminish power, it magnifies it, for the energy once wasted on control is redirected into presence. Practical surrender reveals itself in cycles of observation and response. When an opportunity appears, a message, a meeting, a resource, you act within a window of grace, often within 72 hours. When nothing appears, you return to your practices without despair. This rhythm prevents stagnation while honoring the mystery of timing. To live this way is to become a navigator rather than a controller. You do not command the winds, but you adjust your sails, interpret the stars, and trust the currents. The sailor does not rage at the sea for its tides. He learns their rhythm and rides their power. Likewise, when you align with synchronicity, your journey ceases to feel like resistance and becomes flow. The metaphor of the seed clarifies this dynamic further. No gardener would pry open the earth each morning to demand proof that the seed is sprouting. Such interference would kill what is already in motion. Instead, the gardener trusts the intelligence of the soil, providing what is needed and leaving the rest to the natural order. Manifestation operates the same way. The impatience to see instant results is equivalent to digging up your seed daily. The universe, like the soil, works invisibly until the time is right for emergence. Trusting this rhythm does not mean doing nothing. It means doing what is yours to do and leaving space for the unseen to fulfill its part. Surrender also alters the relationship with failure. When you stop demanding rigid timelines, setbacks lose their sting. A door that closes is not an insult but redirection. A delay is not punishment but preparation. Every apparent detour contains information about your alignment. If you respond with curiosity instead of collapse, you extract the gift within the delay. Over time, this perspective builds resilience, and resilience itself becomes part of your vibrational field. Life begins to treat you as steady, and steady fields attract steady opportunities. As surrender deepens, gratitude becomes the natural companion. Gratitude is not a performance of politeness, but a physiological state that confirms trust. It trains the nervous system to perceive abundance even in waiting, which paradoxically accelerates manifestation. A grateful heart signals to the universe that you already recognize alignment, and the universe, in turn, multiplies the alignments you are prepared to honor. In this way, surrender is not passive acceptance but active cooperation, and gratitude is its language. The art of surrender culminates in a quiet confidence. You stop interrogating reality for proof and instead allow it to surprise you. You recognize that timing is not your enemy but your ally, that the very pauses you once feared are the intervals where invisible orchestration takes place. And as you learn to trust these pauses, your life ceases to feel like a chase and begins to resemble a dance. Each step is taken with intention, each rest honored as part of the music. In this dance, the universe is not withholding your desire. It is weaving it with precision into a tapestry so intricate that only hindsight reveals its brilliance. As we close this journey together, reflect on the path we have walked. You began by recognizing the quiet struggle of incoherence between thought and feeling, the invisible conflict that undermines even the clearest intentions. From there, you learned the power of rewriting inner scripts, transforming inherited patterns and embodied memories into new evidence that anchors belief in lived reality. We moved into the discipline of attention, rediscovering depth in a world addicted to distraction, and saw how stability of focus reshapes the field you emit. Finally, we entered the rhythm of the universe itself, exploring the art of surrender, the language of synchronicity, and the grace of patience as active cooperation with life. The essence of manifestation is not an act of forcing, but of alignment. It is the practice of becoming a clear signal, a coherent field where mind, body, and spirit no longer argue but sing in unison. From this harmony, the universe responds naturally, arranging opportunities, relationships, and experiences that mirror your state with elegant precision. Manifestation is not magic in the sense of escaping natural law. It is magic in the sense of remembering that you are part of that law, inseparable from the intelligence that governs all things. Hold on to the truth that transformation does not happen in one dramatic leap, but through the quiet repetition of coherence, evidence, attention, and surrender. Each practice is a seed, and each seed, tended with care, inevitably blossoms in its season. Your role is not to demand the harvest before its time, but to remain faithful to the soil you cultivate each day. Trust the rhythm, honor the pauses, and continue walking as though the life you desire is already choosing you, because in the deepest sense, it is. Now that you have traveled through this protocol and felt its resonance, ask yourself one piercing question. Are you willing to finally live as if the life you desire is already yours, rather than waiting for permission from the world to begin? This is the moment of choice, the turning point between repetition and renewal. If you felt this message awaken something in you, subscribe to the channel so you never walk this path alone. Every week, more teachings, insights, and practices will be here to guide you deeper into coherence, alignment, and true creation. And do not stop here. Continue your journey with the next video waiting on the screen. Let the momentum you feel now carry you into the next step of transformation. The seed has been planted. Keep watering it.